In today's video, I speak to Connor Ward. Connor is a public speaker, a consultant, vlogger, part-time student and autism content creator. Connor creates videos on his YouTube channel and currently has over 4,000 subscribers. Connor started to think he had autism around the age of 15 and he got an official diagnosis at the age of 18. In this video I speak about the diagnosis process and how he found it. We also speak about how he found school and going out into employment and how his autism affected him then versus how it affects him now. I also ask Connor how the coronavirus has affected himself. And we also speak about what made Connor want to start YouTube and public speaking, as when I first started my channel MaxiAspie, Connor was a big inspiration for me to do so. We speak about the biggest challenges that Connor faces now and what he thinks people should be doing to support people with autism and any condition. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the special MaxiAspie series, The Autism Connections. This is the second to the last episode, guys. There was originally 9 episodes in this series, but I decided to do one extra interview because I really wanted to do it and I really wanted to interview this person, have them on my channel. So instead of 9 videos, it's now 10. And as you can see by the intro, guys, please welcome Connor Ward. Thank you, Connor, for joining me today and having the conversation with me. Obviously it means a lot. I've been watching your content for years now. I've been watching your stuff, so it's finally great to obviously have you collaborate with me as well. So
no worries. It's especially after because I've heard you in a few bits that I've done before, so it's fun to be on yours for once.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know the first time I was on yours was the We Are Autism video.
Just my video that's been seen by the most people, so no pressure with you getting this out to people at all.
Yeah, exactly. Never in that. Yeah, I mean, my first question really is obviously, how is kind of coronavirus affecting you at the moment?
Now at this actual moment, I think I'm just starting to get used to it. But that's 6 weeks in, but there's still the odd thing. I've just noticed basically I'm a lot more on edge with absolutely everything. Every struggle that I had before, it's amplified. It's like meltdowns every other day, or like you can see on camera actually you're actually getting stressed out, Connor, who gets spots. So like it's just dealing with all that stuff. But day by day, could be worse. I could have it. It's more just the change in routine that's the big thing.
I found it obviously. I think I'm like you. I'm kind of, this is becoming for me the new normal, and I think it's really difficult when we need to transition back to normal. And
this is one thing I've been saying. I'm saying it's going to be harder transitioning back than to just deal with this as a whole.
And I think for me, and I think probably for you as well, it's going to be trickier because obviously they are going to be transforming back, but that's going to be a very kind of slow process. So they're going to start.
The thing is as well, like the world that we'll be going into is not the world that we knew before. So like I'm completely self-isolating. So I've not been to a shop. I'm terrified to go to a supermarket and see like lines on the floor and stuff like that. It's all those little things that are going to be the weird thing to adjust to.
Yeah, I mean, going shopping, for me was like terrible. I hate shopping anyway, and having, I suppose, more. I mean, shopping. When you go shopping, the only thing that I ever had to worry about was the people. The size of the people, and I suppose some communication, but that was it. But now you go into the shop and it's like rules and the communication and the awareness and not being too close. And now it's like
you've got to be on it a lot more, I suppose.
I mean, how did it affect you when it first happened compared to now? So obviously you've had a lot of time to
did not cope well with it at all. Just multiple meltdowns a day, etc. Just a lot of time going I was basically in a routine of waking up, realizing everything that was going on, having the first 4 or 5 hours having to deal with that fallout, and then probably only getting about an hour to myself a day before I was ready to go to sleep again. So living nightmare, quite literally.
You don't really believe it's real at the time either.
This is the other thing. Like people kept saying to me like, "Oh no, the virus is fine though." like, oh, the virus isn't real and stuff like that. It's like, that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is everything's going to be disrupted. That's what I'm scared of, not the virus itself. I'm scared of the disruption.
Obviously, I'm asking everyone this question as well. Obviously, people that watch your videos will know, and obviously I do as well. But, what is your connection with autism?
I am autistic. Nice and easy. That's it. But I suppose I can expand on that and say that nowadays I work in the autism field. Ever since I got diagnosed, I wanted to be able to use the abilities that I had to be able to help other people on the spectrum and their families too. So I'm an autistic speaker, I'm a consultant, and then I do some videos for the fun of it.
Some of the consultant work that you do, is that to go into employers or?
So because I'm fairly early on with that, I'm keeping it as open as possible. I'm not limiting myself as to what I would want to work on. What I have worked on is a couple of technology projects, which to optimize technology so it works best for people on the spectrum, which I've really enjoyed. But the main angle I want to go down is theatre. I really want to consult in that. I want to be able to be a part of creating something that that people will enjoy to that aspect, because I'm really into relaxed performances. So yeah, I don't know. I'm keeping all my doors open, but consultancy is probably the stuff I enjoy most, just because it's a really intense thing, but it's a really rewarding thing as well.
I can imagine, as well as loads of people that don't understand it and probably think that they're being inclusive and diverse.
Yeah.
And then
I come along and go, no, you're not.
Yeah. But that's happy for people. That's to one person they might think they are, and then to somebody who's got it, you're like, hang on a minute,
Well, I've been praised by my approach in that I don't just go in and shout at people and go, you're rubbish, which, obviously kind of has to start off with that. But I like to give people actual criticism as in to go, okay, look, yes, this isn't good, but here's how you can improve on it. Because we all need to have that open attitude, to be open, to be wrong, to be able to create something that actually works.
I agree, actually. I think there's nothing more powerful than someone actually going, actually, I agree, that's wrong there. Help me.
I don't like being the person that you can't whinge about something if you can't also provide a solution.
I mean, apart from the autism, do you have any other conditions as well that you've been diagnosed with, or that you think that you might have?
Not that I've been diagnosed with, but I've probably got savants, which, of course, for people who don't know, it's to do with the memory, etc. It's the extreme memory. I will be able to tell, I'll have an argument with people, and I'll be like, but you said this on the 7th of May 2008. And they'll be like, what?
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. And it's also, obviously there's the whole special interest parts of it, which is probably autism, but I could start reciting the entire film of Hercules now.
Wow.
I've always been told that my memory is really good, especially when it comes to dates, basically. And can't remember faces to save my life though, so that's fun.
I mean, because I've always been told I've got a really good memory, and as well, I could be working on 4 or 5 things at once and know where I am with every one of them. But then there's certain things that somebody could say something to me, and I will completely be like, did you say that or didn't you?
So this is the thing. My long-term memory is incredible. My short-term memory, shocking. But that's just because, we're not allowing ourselves the time to process the information properly. So it sets in overnight, and that's why it's good in the long term.
Have you ever been in a situation there where someone goes, well, how can you remember that if you can't even remember what I said 2 minutes ago? And you're kind of...
Yeah, so actually, funnily enough, something like that though, when I had my PIP assessment, they said, how can you remember all these facts and everything, but you can't remember to go to the toilet? I'm like, because it's different things. It's not remembering. It's But the way the way society works is that it doesn't quite distinguish between things like that, because people are idiots.
Yeah, and I find people who do the PIP as well, and the disability allowance and all of that, I really don't feel that they are as equipped.
We could talk forever about PIP.
I knew someone that he didn't get his PIP because he was well dressed, and
so that was similar to me the first time round. I didn't get it the first time, and I only got it on the second time.
It's mad. I just I think at the same time, even if you've got a condition and you're working and all this stuff, at the end of the day, there might be a time in your life where you hit terrible times, you become unemployed and all that stuff.
But
And
that's the thing. Like with us, yes, we can function ish as normal human beings if we're put in an environment that we're comfortable in.
mm,
Take us out of that environment, like I wouldn't even be able to speak, let
mm,
alone deliver a talk or whatever. So that's what Pip doesn't allow for. You have to pretend that every day is your worst day. I say pretend. It's not pretending, is it? That's the only way to get it through to them, to the extremity of
you have to live your worst day every day for them
yeah.
to actually acknowledge, oh, yeah, he needs support, when really it should just be, he's got autism for life, it's not going away, and he could hit terrible times in his life where he might need Pip. So we need to support
Exactly.
or her. I say him.
But this is a bigger conversation that that I could rant on about for ages.
So I suppose, when did you find out you had autism as well?
So I was 15 and I was on holiday, and like how it happens on holidays, I didn't want to socialise with anybody because I never do. But my mum made friends with a family who was actually from near us, and I started talking to a guy who was about my age. And I was just having a really nice, in-depth conversation with him about life, and I was just like, I came away from that conversation like we were on the same wavelength. I enjoyed that, and then I was speaking to my mum about it the next day, going, "Oh, he's nice." And my mum said, "Oh, did you know he's autistic?" I was like, "No," and then I started researching autism, and I was like, "Oh," but I didn't really do anything with it for a few years because I didn't think it was particularly necessary until I was 18, and it became necessary for me to go and get a diagnosis. So yeah, 18 years old.
Did your did your family think as well the same lines, that you might have autism as well?
So at first when I told my mum was like, "Oh," but I'd come to her with one of those online quizzes where you do 50 questions, etc., multiple choice. I'd done one of them, and she was like, "Okay, that's interesting," because I got 43 out of 50, no, 46 out of 50 on that or something ridiculously high, and I was like, "Well, this is extremely obvious here." And my mum said, "Right, okay, I'm going to do it as if I was filling it in for you," and it came up in the 40s. So then she was like, "Well, we can't really argue with that. Let's go to the GP." So it didn't take much. Obviously it took other family members a lot to get their head around because it is a big thing. But then again, at the same time, it's not. So
how did you feel, I suppose, the process of diagnosis, but also how did it feel, finding that out? How did it feel when you finally got the diagnosis?
well, it only took 5 months for me, the entire process, which everyone's always like, how? I'm like, I looked out massively. Well, no, essentially what happened is they looked at me and went, yeah. Like there wasn't need to dig in any further. It was just like, yeah, okay, Faz, you've got it. So yeah, it was a massive relief. That was the initial thing. It was relief. It was like, okay, finally, I now understand me fully, and I can start having other people in my life who have challenged me at certain points. Hopefully, they can now have a better understanding of why I am the way I am in certain scenarios, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a lovely moment as well. I was speaking to somebody as well, and they were saying it really kind of was like they were born again, when they found out, it was,
Yeah.
because I think you go throughout life thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And actually, when you get a diagnosis, it's not about what's wrong with me anymore. It's this is the reason, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the reason.
I must admit, I didn't actually think, oh, what's wrong with me for the first 15 years of my life. I was just like, everyone else is really weird.
Yeah, what's wrong with everyone else?
Yeah.
I suppose, how did it affect you, I suppose, at that age, and growing up, and, how does it affect you now, I suppose, differently?
I don't know. I think it's hard because, of course, my mum always just raised me as me. She just, oh, Con doesn't like this, therefore we won't do this. So I was in an environment which catered for myself anyway, within the close scenarios of it. School, I absolutely loved because it was a routine that I could follow. I didn't really have many difficulties there. It was only kind of year 10, 11 where everything was that overwhelming that things got a bit too much. But we thought that was just, it was always put down to external issues, which was fair enough. but yeah, so I'd say socially, I've always been a person that like I've got my circle, you're in or you're out. So I think that growing up, but I don't know. Nowadays, it's more just it's hard to answer this one always, isn't it? Because it's everything. like
Yeah.
like we could go down to specifics, but as a whole, it's everything. But I've built up my adult life to be able to work around that. I
Mm.
suppose.
I get what you mean. I find I could have a meltdown. It could be over like the littlest thing, that's happened.
Especially at the moment. Oh my god.
You know, and my mum, bless her, she'd try and comfort me and go, well, just think about what's going on in the world. It could be worse, but it's just a build up.
It's just overwhelming in the first place, isn't it? That's all a meltdown is. It's a reaction to being overwhelmed.
Mm.
Admittedly, it's not the nicest reaction, but it's just how we process it.
I mean, with your meltdowns, I mean, is it more? I suppose because everyone, experiences a meltdown differently. So, what would your kind of typical, but what would your meltdown look like?
Always tears. Always tears. There's never not. I'll tell you a recent thing that's happened with them. I started scratching myself everywhere, which is not nice. I don't know where it's come from. Luckily, I bite my nails as well, so there's not actually that much damage I can do. Apart from I did manage to cut myself the other day. But yeah, it's more language. I'm not able to speak at all. I just it's kind of what comes out of my mouth. The way people around me describe it. My sister likes to say that I get Sith eyes. My eyes go yellow, which is quite scary. Yeah, and then the other description that I've had friends say, it looks as if I'm about to throw anything. And that's true. I do throw stuff. Like the other day, my sister got a oven mitts to the head.
Well,
Oops.
better oven mitts than anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Could have been a hard object.
Yeah. Growing up, what did you find the biggest kind of issues and challenges, that you faced, whether that was from other people or just...
I would say it's the teenage years when everything started to change. And it was the understanding the reason as to why everything was changing. Like, for the first 10, 11, 12 years of your life, everything's pretty much the same. And then it's like, well, why is there now this expectation that I've got to go and hang around on street corners at the weekend to, what is this social expectation about? That's, I don't desire that. Just let me do what I want to do. So it was understanding why there are social rules and how they all work. And then of course with puberty itself, everybody's emotions become a lot more complicated, and having to deal with that concept was just way too much for me to be able to handle. I couldn't understand all these new emotions that everybody was feeling and expecting me to know what they were and why they were.
Obviously, then growing up, from school and secondary school, I mean, was school life pretty consistent? I mean, in regards to, did you go to a primary school, mainstream secondary school, and all that stuff as well?
Yeah, so I actually left sixth form 4 months in due to being overwhelmed. I had stuff going on outside of sixth form, but I can look back on it now and go, I was just overwhelmed with everything. It was just too much. The change of having all this free time and stuff. It was the different expectations within sixth form, etc. I think it was all that. Which, I've gone back to my school because my sixth form was part of my school. And the teachers and stuff that I spoke to were all like, in these moments, we just always dealt with you as you. But then looking back on it, it looks extremely obvious. It's like, yeah. And so I don't blame my school at all, in any way. They always did the best for me in the moment. And also, without any of that happening, I might not have got to where I am now. I'm pretty happy with where I am now. So,
I mean, did you manage to, take GCSEs and get qualifications at your school as well?
I didn't even revise for GCSEs and got like high marks. I'm one of those.
Really?
Well, that's the thing. I couldn't stand revising because I was like, well, I've already learned this. This makes no sense to me. It's like I hate repeating information. I don't want to listen to it twice as well. I was one of those.
With the memory though, it does help.
Well, that's the thing. I was just like, okay, refer to revision page this and had cool sorted. That's there.
How did you find employment? After leaving school.
So, because of my situation, leaving sixth form, I didn't have a traditional. Like, I kind of had a year where I didn't do anything because. Well, this was the whole point of this was going, okay, something's not right here. But towards the end of that period, and as the diagnosis started, my dad actually managed to get me a job at the local council. which was in a 6-story building. Each floor was open plan, and there was about 1,000 people on each floor.
God.
Oh my God. All you could hear times 6,000. I spent most of the time in the loo, like just, well, meltdown and stuff, but just too much. And then, so I got asked to leave that job, even though, so they'd set me work for 3 months. I did it in 7 working days.
Wow.
Because I'm efficient. You know, I work efficiently when I'm given a task to do. I'm not gonna. I was actually being told by staff that, like, spread it out. You know, you don't want to do it as fast. But I couldn't comprehend this social idea of why would I slow down doing something the best of my ability? That doesn't make sense.
No, it's counterintuitive.
Exactly, does not make sense. So yeah, I left that job, and then a few months later, I got a job in a small office where I was programming medical devices, which I really enjoyed. I was really good at. But that was less about the environment, but it was more about how I was managed. Like I couldn't do 35.5 hours a week. It was too intense. My life consisted of going to work, having to get picked up by my mum at the end of the day because I couldn't face the bus, because by the end of that day I was like gone. And then going to sleep, waking up, going to work again, and then the weekends were just consistent of me having to lie in bed all weekend to recover from the exhaustion of the previous week. So I didn't really have a life during being employed. Yeah, so I had to leave that. Otherwise, I would have died, I think.
Yeah, no, it is tough.
One really important thing to mention on that employment thing, though, I got diagnosed while I was at that second job. I tried explaining to them, look, I have this diagnosis. This is why this is happening, but they wouldn't take any of it. That kind of fueled all of this nowadays. It's like, well, I'm not letting that happen again.
Do you do for employment now? Is it just all the consulting and all that stuff, or do you have a full-time job as well, or have you just
self-employed, living the life? My main source of income is consultancy work, the odd speaking gig every now and again, and then I can't lie, I get my 60 quid every few months from YouTube, pocket money, which is nice. But yeah, no, so I get to work on projects that I love all the time, and I'm in control of it all. Yes, I haven't got a routine, but that's the routine of it.
And you've not got that kind of, that unneeded or added pressure of someone saying, I need this or I need that, and not understand.
I do have that sometimes. But every project that I work on is to do with autism. Therefore, everybody's completely understanding of the fact I am autistic.
Yeah.
So I'm really lucky in that respect that I am in an environment that's very accepting.
I mean, you kind of answered it already, but I mean, what made you, I suppose, start the YouTube and the public speaking? And how long have you been doing that now as well?
So it was only 2 months after being diagnosed that I started the YouTube channel. It was 10 days after leaving that office job. I think, I left the job and then found out that the National Autistic Society were running a competition to create a short film under 4 minutes, something to do with autism. So I made a poem called I Am Autism, which what we talked about earlier, We Are Autism, that was the predecessor to. So I made that, and I just thought, well, I'm just going to put it out there to the world. This is what this is how I'm feeling. This is what I want you to know. And then I did that first video, did really well to my surprise. And I just thought, well, I best continue with this YouTube thing. There was never any pressure of it. I didn't even talk about autism again for another 2 months. But then naturally the autism content started attracting more attention. So I started focusing it towards that. And also I started volunteering with the National Autistic Society. At the same time, I started using the skills that I had to be able to work with them, like making a few short films for them, etc. And it just all kind of naturally evolved. So with doing the videos, I ended up speaking at the Autism Show, which started my public speaking really, and then it was an NAS branch that I filmed a video with that then I got paid to speak at, etc. Everything just tumbleweed, if that's an expression. So I've kind of been working properly nearly 3 years. Nearly 3 years of actually working and earning money, because I convinced myself after that office job that I'd never be employed again and never be able to earn money again. So the fact that now I can sustain myself financially as well as treating myself to a load of Lego, which you can probably see in the background of this. Yeah, no, it's really cool.
No, it's, I know, obviously, I think I've been on YouTube now for, God, since 2008, I think it's been now, so
Wow.
12 years. And,
Yeah.
I know when I had the issues with my channel, you were the guy that raised that with me, and,
Oh yeah, never not rely on me to not be blunt about things.
no, well, it helped, because obviously that was a big, obviously, a big issue at the time for me. And if anything, I watched your content anyway, and it inspired me. Actually, it's time for a fresh start. It's time for a new kind of channel, which I feel passionate about making videos and talking about, which was the autism stuff.
Yeah.
So, I'm always thankful and grateful to you for, I suppose, pointing that out at the time.
Well, this is my biggest thing with everything. So it's interesting that you say about a new start. Like, I created Autism Assemble with my friend Holly on Facebook to be able to have a fresh start with autism stuff, because I wanted to make succinct content which is just factual and helpful, that doesn't rely on this whole algorithm stuff that YouTube, there's too many politics involved in YouTube for my liking, that it detracts from us making what we want to make. So I'm actually in the process myself of kind of redoing stuff on YouTube. I'm staying on the same channel. I'm going to be providing people with a lot better stuff, and I'm excited for a new era.
What do you feel people should know about autism, and what do you think people should do to support it?
I think we need to really move towards the whole, it's a difference. It's the whole person with autism versus autistic person thing. I think we need to all get in the mindset now of autistic person. I'm not talking about actual language. I'm talking about bigger than this. We need to accept the fact that it's just a different way of thinking. It's just something that's different. It's not you're a person that's got this impairment, but it's still understanding that, yes, we are different, and it means that the society we're in can often make it hard for us. Therefore, it is still difficult. It's just having that open mindset, open-mindedness, just be accepting of all kinds of people. Just be a good person.
What do you think of people that say everyone has got a bit of autism?
Oh, no. Go away. Oh my God. I think that attitude's changing. Well, I'd like to hope it is. Autism is a condition which is comprised of many human traits. Many of them could be classed as personality traits. So when people say everyone's a little bit autistic, everybody identifies with one or maybe a few aspects of being on the autism spectrum, which naturally you're going to. That's how it works. But just because you can relate to a certain aspect of it doesn't mean that you are. You're on the autism spectrum or you're not. You're not a bit or whatever. So to those people, they ultimately just need educating.
No, I love that.
I also another opinion is that actually I also think it's quite belittling when you hear it to yourself, isn't it? Like, so when you open up to someone and go, "Oh, I'm autistic," they go, "Oh yeah, but everyone's a bit autistic." They're saying it because they're trying to reassure, but what they're actually doing without knowing is that they're actually invalidating what you've just said.
It's like they say it so they can say it's normal, therefore they don't have to learn anything about it. It's like, well, everyone's got that, so
yeah, it's okay, right, let's get on with it. Not in the good way, the best reaction to telling people you're autistic I like is just okay, or I'm also open to people asking questions going, oh, so what does that mean?
Yeah, the last question really is, what plans and what news have you got coming up? I know with coronavirus it might be a little bit of delayed dates and stuff, but any news or plans to share?
I'm going to be really annoying. I've got stuff I can't talk about. Yes, I've got some of that stuff. But then if we look later on to the year, so Autism Assemble, the Facebook group that I mentioned with my friend Holly, we're taking the Autism Assemble brand to the Autism Show. But so it means that we're having a stand where we can incorporate the whole ideology that we have with the group of that everybody in the autism community is welcome, parents, carers, of course, people on the autistic spectrum, because of course everyone's perspective builds up to creating a better understanding, and that's what we want. So to translate that into a physical environment at the show, and then we've also got a hub, a theatre for autistic people, yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Thank you, Connor, as well for obviously
Thank
coming.
you for having me.
No, honestly, it's been lovely to speak and hear about your story and what you're doing and what you continue to do. So, thank you for coming on and talking to me.
No problem at all. Well, thank you for having me, and yeah, I look forward to watching the rest of them.